It bothers me that a lot of the responses I've been getting recently talking to people about Bitcoin is just something in effect of, oh, I'm not smart enough for that, or oh, I don't know anything about investing, or yeah, I don't know like anything about that, right? And I wonder how much a part of that is just kind of a, I don't know, just like a habit thing we have of like not wanting to talk about finances or investing with other people, or how much of it just is just how much of it, how many of our responses are just like so kind of robotic and pre-planned, almost. And so I've been also with that, how often do you have space and time to just like sit and think about how fast the world is changing? How much time are you able to just kind of sit and ponder about the world changing, or kind of like the decisions that you're making? You know that classic like the like classic, I think it's the Abraham Lincoln quote, but again, maybe it's just the internet attributing things to him. The whole like, if you had 4 hours to cut down a tree, you'd spend 3 hours sharpening your axe, like that kind of thing, right? So we've heard this thing. Um, or like Naval's really good at talking about this, of just like getting the big blocks right, like spending more time on the big blocks. Like, what city are you going to live in? Who are you going to partner with for your life? Like, what kind of career are you going to go into? Like, spending more time on the bigger blocks. And the the biggest block possible, the biggest possible block possible to spend your time on, one of the biggest possible blocks possible, is what currency are you using? And people in the United States don't think about this. They don't think about, oh, what currency choice do I have? Because we have like been the world reserve currency for a very long time. And even that, when I say right there, do you, where does your brain go? Does it tee off into like, oh man, I don't know even what that means, world reserve currency, or like that's, oh, only sophisticated investors know that, or whatever. Like, just pause right there, just fill in that gap, and inoculate yourself from kind of like getting thrown off by jargon that people use, I guess. Just like cut through jargon and ask ChatGPT the fast definition of it. And if you don't like the first one, ask it to give you a different one. And so the ability to just kind of like speed up like gaps of knowledge is so fast. And so in actually being patient and like taking the time to sit and fill them in, and spend more time on the bigger decisions, spend more time on the bigger decisions. But the more that I've like sat around and kind of like contemplated that, I've realized that the majority of people also don't have time to do that. They're rushing, like you are rushing to work, and then you're rushing to pay rent that month. You're rushing to get to work on time. You're rushing to get all the groceries bought. You're rushing to get all the like XYZ all checked, right? The world is changing very, very quickly, and you can over index on that and just kind of spend all of your time thinking about the future and not enough of it thinking about the present. But this whole thing of just like, I really, on my best days, I really believe in the whole like, you overestimate what you can get done in a year, but you underestimate what you can get done in 10 years, like that thing. Because your life can change very, very quickly in a short amount of time, but you have to be able to spend time getting the big things right. Okay? So with all of that being said, what does that have to do with Bitcoin? Bitcoin is your shot. Like, Bitcoin is the lowest hanging fruit way to capture the most amount of upside of all of the change happening in the world. Because that's the other thing, is that I think if you're stuck in that bucket of not having a lot of time to sit around and contemplate how much the world is changing, or contemplate the big buckets, like if you just feel like you're on a treadmill, just running after the next thing, running after the next thing, running after the next thing, and then any space you do get is like you're in such desperate need of just like decompressing, that you have to like escape the main thing you have going on. So you know, like drugs, alcohol, video games, vacation, food, like whatever that is, like just because you have to escape like the drone of like the pressing stuff you've got going on. Like Bitcoin is the number one way to capture all the change happening in the world. And it's the way that you can actually buy back that space. You can buy back that space and that time to think about the bigger things. Because the opposite of this, like the opposite of this is just sitting in dollars. Like the people that are most pressed for time don't own assets. Fiat money literally is a hamster wheel. It's literally a treadmill. It's literally treading water. If you stop treading, you're done. Like you're done. You're off of the treadmill or you're under the water. That's how fiat money is. That's why for a long time, like what what was the like main way to get ahead in the United States or have any sort of like savings for a large majority of people that didn't use the stock market was a home. It was a home, right? This is a forced savings mechanism. And then home prices go up with inflation. So rather than getting diluted when they expand the dollar supply and you're just sitting in the dollar supply, you at least have one thing that is rising, like rising, and it's helping you float. The home and the real estate and the primary residence for so many people for so many years has helped them float and feel like there's some level of savings that is keeping up with the dollar dilution. Bitcoin is the new version of that. Bitcoin is the new, better, improved version of that because any little bit of gap that you can get financially can get on that train, get in Bitcoin, and benefit from the expanding dollar supply and benefit from all. This is what all of the productive people in the world are doing. All of the productive people in the world, all of the like tech people in the world, all of the just people that own other assets, they all know that the dollar supply is expanding, dollar supply is expanding. So they're positioning themselves into things that will benefit them most from that expansion. And that's what allows them to step back. That's why like people that saw trends are able to see the next trend because they have enough time and space and gap to not be constantly rushing all the time. So you have to start acquiring assets some way. Bitcoin is your one shot at like speeding up. It's Bitcoin will help you catch the train of the world is just like whizzing by, whizzing by, whizzing by, whizzing by, right? Bitcoin can help you speed up. So if you don't feel like you're making enough money, if you feel like you're just on a treadmill, your savings can't be in dollars. They just can't be in dollars. Period. Like that's not an option. That's not an option. Bitcoin is the main option available.